difficulties on our end. We just had the conversation not knowing that we weren't live, that, technology is great, but it doesn't always work and things aren't always perfect. And part of that is how we learn and we grow. So we are learning and growing as we are live stream here, guys. So I will start back over. I am your host, and this is the first ICN Chat and Learn of 2023. So I am Dr. Danielle Barrett. I'm one of the education and training specialists at ICN. And my co-host, Patrick Butler, is not able to be with us today. So let's send him some positive thoughts and well wishes, and he will be back with us next month. So before we go into introducing our guest speaker in today's topic, just to cover some housekeeping, if you have any questions you would like to submit, comments, or just interact with us while we are on today's live stream, please use the live stream chat box that is on our website, which is theicn.org/leadership, because that's where we will be checking. That way, if you have a question, we can talk in live time and discuss it. And so you can also find us streaming on our various social media platforms. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So last year, we started this series of Chat and Learns talking all about communication and just the importance of communication and how it makes us to be a better leader when we effectively communicate and really meet people where they are, focus on the why. And so we are going to take all of that knowledge and we are going to start looking at a few HR topics this next 3 series of Chat and Learns. And so today we're starting at the very beginning of recruiting new employees. So now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Christelle Hicks. She is the Child Nutrition Director at Clinton Public School District in Mississippi, and she brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to this conversation. Welcome. I am so glad you're here. And I would love for you just to tell our audience a little bit about you and just all that you bring to the table.
Thank you, Danielle. Again, I am Christelle Hicks, Child Nutrition Director, Clinton Public School District here in Clinton, Mississippi. I have been in child nutrition for over 20 years now. I began my career within child nutrition as a purchasing specialist at the Mississippi Department of Education Child Nutrition Office. I then moved on to Jackson Public Schools as a food service supervisor there, and then, of course, in several other districts. And then I also became the purchasing director at the Mississippi Department of Education, the Child Nutrition Office. And so now I am here, and I hope that I can be of some service with you today.
Absolutely. So as she mentioned, she's going to have several hats that she's got to be in the experience and in the driver's seat for, that's all related to HR and recruiting people and just being a leader in general. So we're going to ask her to put on those several hats various times in our chat today to answer it from a few different perspectives, because that's one of the points we really want to make sure with these Chat and Learns is they're for the whole child nutrition audience. We aren't just specifically going to talk about schools. We're going to try to hit on schools, CACFP, summer feed. We want everybody to come to the table because leadership is across the board. And that's what we want to do, is help empower everyone to be their best self possible. So we're just going to start off the very base level question. So how do you recruit new employees?
The way that I recruit, I try several means. Our main resource is our Clinton Public School District webpage. We have an employment page that the employees or what am I calling them? Possible employees can go online and they can complete an application online. We also use Indeed as well. I take part in the district's job fair. We don't get a lot on that educational side, but to me, if we get 1 or 2, it's a win, because we're always looking and we're always recruiting. And I also like to keep business cards with me. So when I'm out and about at different places, especially a lot of different restaurants, you may see someone that's having or giving great service. And so sometimes I'll just slide them my card and let them know that if ever you're looking for something else, please give me a call, and or either just go ahead and fill the application out online, and that'll give me a better view of who they are and if they're interested.
Yes, I love the business card idea. I actually remember sitting in a couple sessions at last year's SNA conference, and someone said that exact thing. And I thought, that's such a simple thing you can do and reach such a broad audience. Because sometimes you just have to meet people where they are.
You do. I agree. Yeah. And a lot of times they don't even realize that they're being watched. So you're going to get that genuine self. Someone that's going above and beyond, someone that's just working as hard as they can. You will notice them helping out other people. And so that catches your eye, and you're like, great. And a lot of times when you get those that come from a restaurant and you tell them, oh, you won't even have to work past 3. So give them some of the great things and the things that we enjoy about being in the school system or being a part of the child nutrition realm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a point that we all know. We know because we're in it.
Yes, for sure.
So I think sometimes we forget that people they don't even consider child nutrition as an option because they're not aware of it.
They're not aware. And especially a lot of our male applicants, they don't apply because they don't really realize, the benefits. When I came, we had 2 gentlemen. Now I have 6. And that's because, we go out and we tell our staff as well, send us someone, let them know, and we'll give them we'll have a conversation with them to let them know what it is that we do. And with me having a central warehouse, we have someone that drives our truck and deliver commodities to the schools. We have some of the guys who are amazing chefs that come in and they cook. And so we have students who came right out of high school that just wanted to work. And so we brought them in, and I have a few of those. One has been here for over 15 years, and the other has been here for about 6 years. So it's just awesome that when you're able to sit down and have a conversation and explain exactly what it is that we do. A lot of people don't understand or know that we do the things that we do here.
I love hearing those stories. And I had a very personal moment here in a similar conversation. Someone mentioned go to like the parent nights, like have a booth set up. And a lot of times you can talk to parents, especially parents of young kids. And it's like, you can be on the same schedule as your children. And I'm sitting there thinking, because that's my background. My mom was a lunch lady. And so when I was really young, she worked in a deli, and she, did not have the same hours as I was little. And then in elementary school, she started working as a lunch lady. And even as a kid, I loved that because, she was there if I needed her. We had the same schedule. Right. Great. And I think those parent nights gives the opportunity to, again, you're meeting people where they're at.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what was so amazing about me being a part of child nutrition. My first 10 years, I was actually a assistant store manager for Walmart. And I was not utilizing my degree in regards to the child nutrition realm. But once I got married and I had my daughter, when she was 1, actually, well, I'm sorry, 2 was when I began working within child nutrition. And so I was able to have the exact same schedule almost as she did growing up. And so now she's gone and in college. So it was a great benefit for me. A great benefit for me. And I try to explain that and express that to others because it's amazing. The hours are amazing. The work is amazing. You meet so many wonderful people and you're actually helping mold little lives.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this almost every chat and learn and bring it back. we're here to feed the kids. Like that's what it's all about. At the end of the day,
Exactly.
we are servant leaders and we are just doing the best that we can. And I had one other similar to the business cards, and then I'm gonna ask a separate question.
Okay.
But I had an example. This goes back to the same session at SNA. This was just a whole conversation people were sharing. It's great. And that's what I love. So again, put yourself in these positions where you can hear these conversations.
Right.
Child nutrition, it's a team effort. We're not stealing. You're not taking someone else's idea. We're working harder, not harder.
Exactly.
But someone talked about getting t-shirts for their employees, and they would wear it out in public as well. And it was like, it was very clever. And I wish I could remember exactly what it said, but basically like, talk to us, let's figure it out. So this something as simple as even that, just with eye catching, and people are going to be like, huh, never thought of that option. Maybe I should look into that.
Right.
So we're talking very specific in the school setting right now about how we're going to recruit employees. So, we have a very strong leadership focus. So somebody on this may be watching and being like, I'm currently in a school, but I would love to eventually move on up to that state agency and work that way. So when you were at the state agency level, how was it different as far as from a recruiting new employee standpoint? What did that look like?
Well, at the state agency, the majority of it is, of course, the background of what happens in the district. As far as with me, when I was there, I just looked for somebody that was eager to learn about the backside or the product side of child nutrition as to what we do. And basically, that's basically what you look for. If you have someone that's interested, or if someone out there that is interested in the state agency, just go online and take a look at some of those positions, and you will be amazed at, once you think of all the things that you do on a daily basis, you already qualify because you've seen it in another way. So now you would be able to help out with the State Department. You've been out there. So guess what? I know that this is a great item, or I know that these students react more to this. So it's just a willingness. Someone that's willing to learn is really what I always look for, even, State Department and here in a district. Just someone that's willing to learn the processes and to give what they have when it comes to working with our students and working for the children here in Mississippi.
Yes, I love that, a willingness. And I laugh because we so many times in the last series about the communication was just people just want to know the why. I think this is so similar. If it's just you look for the people that's willing, and sometimes it's just even giving them the why do we do what we do, and you find
exactly
in the work, and it's just, I love it.
Exactly.
And so we've kind of talked about these different creative avenues that we can try to attract new people. So we're living in some uncharted territory here, still being in COVID times, post-COVID times. I never want to say post-COVID, but
exactly.
Things still are changing constantly. There's
yes,
this
they are.
normal of there's not a normal. So how are you what are you doing different? Are you having to do things different? I feel like that's a given, but talk about that a little bit. How things
For sure. We've had to do some different things because with COVID, we lost some people, and so did restaurants and retail as well. But after a while, because the schools were not doing a lot of work or feeding, well, we were feeding, but it was kind of limited feeding because we were just bagging. So everybody was not still working. And so we ended up losing a few to some restaurants who had figured out a way, of course, to keep their businesses going. And so in order to get my staff back and to make sure that we were ready to go full force, there were a lot of things that we had to change, that we had to come up with. For instance, well, this is one that we've always done. We purchase their tops. We give them really nice red Child Nutrition Clinton Public School District uniform tops. So that's something that they won't have to pay for. This year, we also began, if they can bring me a receipt and show me that they are purchasing skid resistant shoes, we would give them up to $50 back on those shoes. We would refund that. And so that's basically another part of their uniform that they actually will get that return on. Also, we were not competitive in pay. And so I sat down and I checked, I did some research in regards to what other districts, and even not just districts, but looking at those signs at the restaurant saying, we'll give you $15. And so you had to research and understand, yes, they were giving $15, but you may not be working but 4 hours. So you kind of had to take a look at what people were offering, what other districts were doing, and compete. And so we decided to increase our pay. We changed our step ladder, as we would say. And so our starting salary went up generously. And so, of course, that even affected the ones that are already here. And then the ones that we were trying to recruit that we finally got to come here, when they realized, oh, I can be making that same money that they're trying to give me at a particular restaurant, and I'll actually be working a full day every day. My hours won't change. And so that was just one of the other incentives that we had to do. We had to be competitive now because so many people were now offering a little bit more in pay than what they were normally making.
Right. Yeah. So do you advertise that? Do you make that known in when you're trying to recruit people, or is that something they find out more once you get them in?
We tell them more once we get them in, once we call them for an interview. And because the way the steps work, it's off of experience. So even so, you may not even start at that salary that's listed. You may start with more, but we have to look at where you are, what the experience that you have, and what you are going to bring to the table. And so we don't really advertise the pay as much, but you would not believe how quickly it gets around. And
Exactly.
people start to apply and want to come to us. And so we're still hiring, we're hiring now. And so I'm putting a plug in.
Well, that shamelessly do it. Plug it.
So yes, we do try and do some things and promote and advertise and join again the job fairs so that we can, pull people in. And once they get here and we explain to them, we try to be upfront. You are going to be off this day. You get paid for what you work. We try to explain to them upfront what it is that we're looking for and what the expectations are.
Yeah, and that's so important because I've had that happen to me even of it was a student job, but still I started something that turned out to be not at all what I was promised.
Exactly.
And so some of the best advice I would give people is be transparent. Tell
Be
them,
transparent.
talk to your people, communicate. Because
Exactly.
like I'm saying, that word of mouth, as soon as people
Yes.
feel taken care of and supported in what they do, they're going to go out and tell everybody how great their job is.
Exactly.
And that is the best form of marketing you can do.
And we tell our staff all the time, if you know someone, tell them to fill out that application and come see us, come talk to us.
Yeah. And I think we can talk about all these flashy things and out of the box ways. But at the end of the day, sometimes the simplest things are going to make the biggest impact.
Yes.
And that's what I would encourage anyone that's struggling to recruit new employees. Remember, it's not a one size fits all. We know every district, every situation is a little bit different, but don't always. The simple things, they'll help you more than you would think sometimes. So one of the questions, and I think this is more, maybe more from your state agency hat,
okay,
than a director. And this kind of feeds in more to next month, but you mentioned the importance of getting people in. We also, once we get them in, we got to retain them. And so what just give me a quick answer, because I'm watching our time. We only got a few minutes left.
Okay.
But we get people recruited. What's some very quick ways that we're going to make sure we retain them?
You recognize them. You say thank you. When you can reward them, reward them. And when I say reward, I'm not just talking about going out and buying a whole bunch of stuff. In the month of May, School Lunch Hero Day, my assistant director and I, we purchased a lot of the superhero shirts and the mugs, and we put them in little clear white bags. And we went to every school and we gave each staff member that bag. And we wanted them to know that, like they say, not all heroes wear capes, and they are our heroes. They are on the front lines every day making it happen. And showing appreciation like that means a lot. It means a lot to them, and it means a lot to me, because I want them to understand and know that I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And so doing little things like that, just to say, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you've done. And when you're going in those schools and you're working alongside and you're helping them with ideas, and they've just finished that long line and the kids were coming in fast, just looking at them and say, you did it. Thank you. Let them know that you appreciate everything that they're doing for not just for you, but for the school district, for these great children here in Clinton and all over Mississippi.
Yes. So you said exactly what I was hoping. And I see it as a top-down approach, regardless what position you're in. Just let people know you appreciate them.
Yes.
And that's going to go so far. And that, when we started working on the child nutrition leadership site, that was our big goal. We want to empower people.
Yes.
Period. It's not, we want to empower just directors, just managers. We want to empower people to help them be the best person that they can be.
Exactly.
So thank you for giving that answer. I could not have said it better myself.
Okay.
Because I also want to take the time to say, as me, as Danielle, and then even from the Institute, we thank you all so much for everything that you do on a daily basis to feed this nation's children.
Awesome.
Our work has meaning because we help support you. And ultimately, again, we're here for the kids.
Exactly.
So, final question.
Okay.
Final question. So, we're going to start doing this every month. It just happens to be our first one that we're going to do it. So I gave her a little bit of warning, so she does know what's coming. But I want you to think back on your career from the to the very beginning. If you could give yourself some leadership advice, what would you tell yourself?
Pace yourself. Allow yourself to fail, because you're not really failing, you're learning. Utilize the other districts, the other directors, and call and ask the questions that you're not too sure of. Don't be afraid to utilize your coworkers, your counterparts, other directors, the State Department, because I'd rather have an answer than not have an answer. And so knowing that I have that support, I would utilize it more than I did when I first started.
Yes, I love that, especially today's theme of technology problems. Don't be afraid to fail.
That's right.
We learn. Everything's a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful advice.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we look forward to talking again soon.
Awesome.
Thanks for tuning in. And before we go, I do need to make sure I give you next month's date so everybody knows. So our next chat and learn is February 16th at 3 p.m. Central Time. Our topic is interview objectives. So we've hopefully recruited some new employees. Now we've got to start the interview process. So we're going to be talking about all things interview. And our special guest is Casey Dickinson. She is Assistant Director of Food and Nutrition Services for Chesterfield County Public Schools in Virginia.
Awesome.
So we look forward to seeing you then.